get men talking, involve the family. It is a family condition, and it's a family problem.
He was just compassionate to you,
You could feel it in the
understanding.
room. And he did understand.
And just explained everything, you know.
One of the main questions I had asked the consultant is, am I going to die within the next 5 years?
I sat out in the waiting room reading a magazine, and he went in and suddenly you've got cancer.
I can only cope at this time with one thing, and the one thing had to be out.
There is light at the end of the tunnel for some people, there's hope, and I think that's what people want at the end of the day.
Well, like the second time, when we went to see the other consultant, there was a nurse in there that he introduced to you. He was just compassionate to you,
You could feel it in the
understanding.
room. And he did understand.
And just explained everything, you know. He just put you at ease.
I think that's why when I went into that room, and I think it's the first time I actually saw my cancer on the computer screen, and he turned and he explained it and he showed me what it was and how extent it was, and then he gave me the options. And that's when I made a decision. I said, I want it removed, just one cancer cell in my body.
They can't say to you, like, bluntly, yes, you've got cancer, any questions?
No. They've got
Because you've got loads of questions, but you don't know what to say or what to ask.
One of the main questions I had asked the consultant is, am I going to die within the next 5 years? You know what I mean? That is one of the first main questions I asked him, because I thought, okay, I just need to get this out of my system. I've had some really good consultants. How they actually deliver news, as Alfred was saying earlier on, is very important to all of us going through this, because it can make you feel absolutely, totally depressed, or they can give you a good balance and encouragement to know that they're actually going to be helping you.
GP had examined him and said, I don't think you have, think you're okay, but just to be on the safe side, I'll arrange for you to see a consultant. And then you had the appointment, didn't you? A phone call to say, come into the hospital and for a checkup. And I sat out in the waiting room reading a magazine, and he went in and suddenly you've got cancer. And that was just from an examination. No tests had been done, nothing at that stage. I think if they'd said, it's looking as if it possibly could be, and we will arrange tests for you, that would have been better. It would have given us a chance to absorb it. But as it was, I mean, it was a shock, wasn't it?
But isn't that the way that's communicated? From the diagnosis or from our examination, we suspect that there could be something cancerous.
Yes.
At this stage, it's too early to make that diagnosis.
Yes.
We'll have to have some further tests.
Yeah, absolutely.
At that point, we'll then be able to give you something more definitive as to whether or not it's malignant or whether it's benign.
Yeah.
Whether it's something aggressive, whether it's something you need to worry about.
I joined the NHS as a nurse when I was 18 years old and only retired in the last 3 years from the NHS. Attending appointments with Al, seeing how things are done, I know what should be done. I have certain expectations and standards. So I feel that when they're not quite getting it right, or if we're not quite happy about the way things are going, that I'm able to say, hold on a minute here, we expect better, and be able to be his voice when he can't be. A lot of time you get it right, but sometimes when you get it wrong, it can have quite an effect just by a few words or actions.
Tell the patient in advance the journey. I think it's the most important thing. And they say, well, nurses, yes, we do go back and tell them you didn't tell them, and they take the patient away and actually talk to patients. The nurses are the ones that really start the journey of that patient personally.
When I initially was diagnosed and I went, he was really good. I left that hospital, went to another hospital, and was introduced to a consultant who, I'll tell you now, is my best friend. When I had my bad moments, and believe me, there were some bad moments, He saw me, he said, "Hi, how are you?" And I said, "Yeah, okay." He says, "What's wrong?" I said, and I'll never forget it. At that moment, I just welled up. He said, "Come on, come here." Took me into his room, knowing that he's got appointments, and he said, "Tell me." And it's at that point, I just burst out in tears. And he sat me down, and we had a good conversation. And as a result of that, I realised how much he cared.
The main thing for me was the fact she had a sense of humour. Because we tend to deal with anything that worries us or upsets us. We joke about it. You know, it's the way we get through. So we went to see this other consultant, a woman, and she said, "I've got to tell you that, you know, if you have the brachytherapy, you're not going to be able to have children." And we looked at, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?" "Well, we don't have to stop practicing, do we?" And she was nearly falling off her chair laughing. And the fact that she could do that and could understand us and understand where we were coming from.
At the very beginning, life changed a lot. It really did. People invited you anywhere and it was 2 weeks hence. You'd say, "I can't tell you until the day before. I really can't." You'd arrange to go somewhere, but actually at the last minute, you can't go because actually you're not well enough to go. So you couldn't plan, as I said, anything. So you couldn't say, "Oh, well, let's plan for our holiday in 5 months' time." Couldn't do that because actually didn't know what condition he'd actually be in. It's a very different picture now, but at the beginning, it changed life considerably.
I was discharged on Christmas Eve, and they didn't have any pads, so they gave me a woman's pad. And of course, shops are shut, they only had 2. So, you know, you have to improvise, but that sort of thing.
I applied to a travel insurance to go to America. As to what part of it, I've already got the insurance, but it doesn't cover America. So I said, what would be the extra cost? Oh, £940 per annum.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
It has been really stressful, this journey, for both of us, really. I mean, I try to be strong for him, but I've got all these fears and worries. You hold it back. And I would say it didn't happen to me, but it's as if it did, because I've gone through exactly the same as he has. We went to all the seminars at the hospital before, during and after, and they were really helpful. I think people should go. But I think there could be a little bit more there. Is it counselling or for both of you?
I remember when I was first diagnosed, I was still working, had a very demanding job. And so we did have some times where he'd be calling me. And there was one instance where he was trying to get hold of me. I was in a meeting, phone off. He couldn't get me. And he was really bad, so bad that he had to be calling 999. And when I finally got a break, came out, picked up the phone and heard the message, I thought, "Oh my goodness, what's going on?" Thank goodness I was only about 20 minutes away from home, so I could hear back there. But all the time, got to drive safe, got to get there. So that was really quite difficult, to be honest with you, because it tension, stress arose. At one point, they had to sign me off sick from work for 2 weeks because I couldn't cope with the demands that I had with the job that I was doing. So I just went to the doctor and said, "I can't do it." The doctor was great, I have to say, just signed me off for 2 weeks with the stress. And I just had to do that because I thought, I can only cope at this time with one thing. And the one thing had to be out, not work.
The hardest thing I found was whenever I've been upset or I've been worried about something, I've gone to Rod and he's been there for me. And this was something, I couldn't do that. So I used to cry in the shower so that he could hear me. And then he wouldn't see the water running down my face. Try and be strong for him.
Anyone can be, have the problems. But I think the important thing is to talk about it. Get men talking, involve the family. One of the things I say, it's important that recognizing that it is a family condition and it's a family problem.
I think it's just merging partners, patients together and say, you're not on your own. We've been through it. We've got the T-shirt. We've got everything. And there is light at the end of the tunnel for some people. There's hope. And I think that's what people want at the end of the day. It's hope that, like you're saying, I know somebody that was given 6 months to live and he lived for 5 years. He was adamant he was going to beat it. He was on every trial and he got the groups involved. So it's just getting that passion that if you can save one person's life, it's a blessing. That's my view.
An associate of mine had some problems. We'd got together and thank goodness for partners. His partner said, look, if you're having these problems, why do you not speak to individuals? Shared views. We got together and formed a group called Prostate Awareness. So it meant that we were actually looking at information. And as a result of that, it really was an educational thing because we knew that one, men did not refer, and black men certainly didn't. It was taboo.
It was 8 o'clock in the morning or something. We was going to be picked up and met in the reception. And myself and Kay, we went in there. And there's quite a few people sitting around. And I thought, oh, it's a hospital, they're going to be there. And then when this nurse came out and said, right, everybody for the prostate cancer thing, 25 people got up. Yeah. That's when I went, wow. And as we walked out that door of that hospital and turned right and walking up the corridor, I thought, every man here has got prostate cancer.
We went to one before, during and after, and they just explained things, what to expect, what might happen, what could happen. I think, really, they're a must to go to.
There's a pre-surgical school, it's called. Okay. And you have an opportunity. The surgeon who did my surgery, he was there, and he'll give you the tools and show you the instruments and where it goes in your body. He talks about surgery.
Let me just say here as well, though, let's think in terms of the wonderful health service we do have. And when I had my consultation, I went, I think it was a Friday, I could have had a surgeon on Wednesday. And that was it. And I think in terms that sometimes we forget that despite the poor experiences we have, that the positive things that they are.
To me, we haven't actually touched on the things about a multidisciplinary centre of excellence. How do we actually put that into a scenario that people should be going to a centre where they're going to be treated at the right place, the right time, the right medicine, and the way they're told? That's the thing I would like to see is in a way, as a way for the future.
There was a mention of we need more nurses. We need more specialist nurses.
A specialised urology or oncology nurse. There is a difference between the two of them, and that's where I think the money should be put in the oncology nurses, because they need training and they need training fast.
I think the important thing is to tell people what the side effects of the different treatment options are, what you're likely to go through, the impact it's likely to have on you, not only physically, but possibly emotionally. The need to have that engagement with family, have these things very much as a shared journey that everyone's going on, and the importance of engagement, interaction, dialogue, and have that dialogue free and open throughout the process. It's not just a question in terms of pre-surgery, it's not a question only in terms of just immediate post-surgery, but the recognition that you're expecting to have survivorship. You're hoping that survivorship is not 1, 2, 5 years, you're hoping it's medium to long term. Give people some sort of challenges, remind them that some challenges, challenging but achievable. So give them realistic objectives and hopes, aspirations, expectations.